Well, gentlemen, it's no secret that we've lost 99.9% of the player base since COVID started. We're going to need a fantastic archetype to wow them back. What can we pull from Duel Monsters?
We've actually already made an archetype for every monster within Duel Monsters.
You're kidding. GX?
Same problem.
5Ds?
We even released Earthbound Immortal support.
God forgive me. Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. Well, they've done it. Literally every single monster ever played in Duel Monsters has a fully realized Tier 1 archetype, from Feral Imp Turbo to Saggy the Dark Clown Control. Now that they've exhausted every single possible piece of nostalgia bait, it's time to begin mining the red-headed stepchild of the Yu-Gi-Oh lineup, Zexal. Unfortunately, Dawn Thousand's dinguses are in dire need of help, so we'll have to call up an old pal to wring some playability out of them. Presenting Numeron ELDLICH. Before we begin, if you're on the fence about subscribing, let me sweeten the pot for you a little bit. Press that button right below the video and I promise the next one of these I make won't be splashing a good archetype to make a cynical cash grab seem playable. So here's the list, and no, I will not be taking any questions about Triple Memories of Hope at this time. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is an online strategy site for our mutual favorite card game. It's got a deck builder, card database, and a wealth of strategy articles. It's also where I post the Quarantine Series deck breakdowns, so give it a look at www.ygoprodeck.com. Now back to Numeron. I'm not going to pretend that I watched any of Zexal whatsoever, but famous female card list compilation website Yu-Gi-Oh!fandom.com explains that the archetype is based on the Numeron Code, a powerful card responsible for the creation of the universe and the shared destiny of all living. Wait, is Zexal a creation myth? Did the events of Homestuck happen in Zexal? Anyway. As of right now, the archetype is composed of 5 main deck cards, 2 miserably bad rank-up spells, and 3 new pieces of support. They've also got a smattering of extra deck monsters, which mostly all do the same thing. They're unable to be destroyed by battle, and at the end of the damage step, can detach a material to double all Numeron monsters' attack. Their field spell, Numeron Network, and its target, Numeron Calling, summons all 4 of the gates at once, so this gets out of hand pretty much immediately. If the combat isn't enough to seal the game, you can always overlay for S0 after the battle phase and sit on the original VFD for as long as necessary. Now, unfortunately, this archetype isn't as splashable as day 1 deck builds would have you believe. There are 2 large factors preventing it from being jammed in every deck. You can't summon the Numerons unless you control no monsters, and you can't summon more than 1 time after activating Calling. This makes it a perfect pair for ELDLICH, which is more than content to set 5 traps and do most of its playing on its opponent's turn. As Jet Synchron faces all but certain doom on the next ban list, Eld pilots will have to pivot to the next 1-card calamities, and Numeron's 7-card starter package is a decent argument for a replacement. Ideally, we'll be able to steal games going first with S0, and games going second by making big number go up. So with that, let's get into the card by card. Firstly, 3 of our precious Golden Child, 3 Ash Blossom, and 3 Numeron Wall, a searcher for the field spell. Next is Numeron Network, which allows you to send a Numeron spell to the graveyard that has met its activation condition, a terraforming, and the spell itself, Numeron Calling. This summons 4 Numerons from your extra deck with different names all at once. After that is Memories of Hope, and I'm gonna be real with you, this card is not good. That said, it does draw 4, so I'm including it because of my devotion to plusing. Finally, we're on 3 called, a white Eldlixir, and land. For traps, we're on the usual suspects, 3 red, 3 conch, 3 hawk, forever, 3 infip, and 3 judgment. In the extra, we're on some trains, all 4 gates in Sunya, S0, agave for Tyne, Apo and Megaclops for extra targets, Unicorn, Mask, and Link Spider for Eldlich shenanigans. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Magical Musketeer Mechanite. If anything is going to be able to blind second, it's this deck. Unfortunately for our opponent, we've opened the combo. We're going to lead with the Numeron Network, setting a Numeron calling to summon 3 gates in order to effectively play around Nibiru, before making S0, setting 4, and passing. In draw phase, we're going to activate the effect of S0, our opponent will set 5, and at end step will activate ELDLICH of the Scarlet Sanguine. For turn, we draw a copy of Solemn Judgment, we'll switch our monsters to attack position, and... Super Poly? What's the... Oh god, they're both light. Okay, well, in main phase 2, we'll go ahead and get the ELDLICH back. We'll set a copy of Golden Land Forever and the Solemn Judgment before triggering the effect of Haketo in the end step in order to set a Scarlet Sanguine. We'll pass it back to our opponent, who will activate Instant Fusion for Thousand Eyes Restrict. They'll activate the effect, I'll activate Conquistador, but unfortunately the way this resolves will put the ELDLICH into the graveyard. We'll Scarlet Sanguine one out, so our Golden Land Forever is still on. We'll infip our opponent's Blue Sky, and that prompts a concession. Our second match is up against ELDLICH, and I know what you're thinking, Joseph, why isn't this the best of 3 versus meta? Well, 2 reasons. Firstly, I'm not personally comfortable with the amount of Scarlet Sanguines that would be resolving in this mirror. And secondly, our opponent is on the Baylor Drock version. They're going first, so best of luck getting the Baylor Daddy into the graveyard. They're going to lead with a copy of Cursed Eldland. Next, they'll set 3 and normal summon a copy of Unizombie, prompting an infinite impermanence from us. In draw phase, they'll go ahead and activate this copy of Scarlet Sanguine, which we will respond to not only with an Ash Blossom, but also with a Numeron wall that we ripped off the top. We want to keep the network in hand a secret, if at all possible. In main phase 1, we're going to activate Network, sending a calling and summoning all 4 gates from our extra. This should be an OTK. We'll attack, and of course we missed the first one, but after we double the attack of our monsters, we get over the Unizombie, in for 4,000, they summon a Conquistador, and that should be the end of the game. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing Adamancipator, a deck which classically struggles against Calamities-like effects. We have everything we need, except for the ELDLICHs. Okay, well S0 will have to do it. We're going to summon 3 gates, overlay for S0, set 4, and pass it back to our opponent. Our opponent will respond by... banishing their whole hand for a block dragon? Actually, that's not terrible. It threatens the S0 really, really well, and will float into just about everything they need soon enough. They're going to go to battle phase, and we need a Golden Lord right now. We'll make a Haketo in defense position, so next end phase we can get a copy of Scarlet Sanguine, and maybe find our big golden boy. We'll proceed to end, activate Haketo's effect in order to get Scarlet Sanguine, and this absolutely must resolve. We'll go ahead and activate it ASAP. We're going to get a copy of ELDLICH from our deck, so that when they go for the effect of the Adamancipator Researcher in hand, we can Golden Land Forever. Now, it doesn't destroy because of the on-field Block Dragon, but we have a plan for that. They're going to go for Block Dragon and Halqifibrax, so we'll be able to infip the Halqifibrax and Called by the Grave the Block Dragon. Sometimes you just kind of open everything. They'll go to battle phase and attack for 15 and 19, not that big of a deal. We have a huge life total to work with. At end phase, they will reveal they do have another rock monster and pass it back to me. We'll go ahead and activate ELDLICH's effect, getting rid of the Numeron calling in our field spell zone, akin to the Magical Meltdown, before banishing this Kawaki Myru Guardian with Called by the Grave, so that this effect actually resolves. We'll activate Sanguine's effect in order to set a copy of Conquistador, set 2, and pass it back to our opponent. This is their last shot. They'll activate Signs, we'll banish the target, which is, I imagine, extremely frustrating, and there's the concede. So it's time for game 2, and yeah, we were always going to have to go second against a competent meta archetype at some point. Our opponent's hand is quite good. We have an infinite impermanence, but it's going to have to put in a lot of work. They're going to lead with a copy of Automata Pickup and a para, discarding a para for a copy of Dodo Dwarf Go-Go Glove and a Go-Go Gigas. They're going to discard the glove in order to activate the effect of Doki Doki, and Adamancipator Analyzer is going to find off the top... Okay, well, in all fairness, a second copy of Doki Doki is pretty good for us. They're going to go for Raptite and find pretty much exactly Seeker is the worst option we could possibly see. They'll activate Seeker's effect and... Oh, nothing? Okay, well, a whiff is pretty good luck from our position. They'll use Signs to bring back Glove, and then Glove's effect to get the Utopic Onomatopoeia out of hand. They're going to Halqifibrax into a Jet Synchron, then overlay for Granite, and I figure as long as I can keep this copy of Block Dragon out of the graveyard, we might be able to do this. They'll then link summon a copy of Auroradon and use its effect for 3 tokens. I'm sure you're familiar with this combo, but for those who aren't, they'll activate Auroradon's second effect for an O-Line, which allows a Savage Dragon summon, followed by the activation of Jet Synchron in the graveyard for a Herald of the Arclight. Really hoping the latter wasn't going to hit the field here. Okay, we'll activate Cursed Eldland's effect. They let it resolve, and yeah, we'll just set 4 and pass. I guess they'll activate the effect of Gallant Granite. We can't stop that. We'll activate Scarlet Sanguine here. They let it resolve. They'll go for Block Dragon. They'll link summon an IP Masquerena. We'll activate Forever in response to the Block Dragon, so we do get to negate that. We'll try to White Destiny our monster back. We'll try to Haketo. They'll Herald, and yeah, I don't think we're going to have the necessary monsters on board to survive. They'll make Boral Sword, and we'll concede. So it's time for that all-important Game 3, and just like Game 1, we've got access to the Numeron half of our deck, but not the ELDLICH half. Well, this Haketo is going to have to put in work. We'll lead with a copy of Numeron Wall, which we will use to get a copy of Numeron Network. We'll activate its effect, sending a calling to the graveyard to get 3 gates from our extra, and overlay for an S0. We'll set 2 and pass it back to our opponent, activating S0's effect in draw phase. Just like Game 1, our opponent's going to activate the effect of Block Dragon, attacking over our S0 a turn early, prompting a Haketo at end step. Oh boy, this is bad. We draw another wall for turn, we'll go to battle phase and walk over our opponent's set copy of Utopic Onomot before link summoning a copy of Masquerena and triggering Haketo for a copy of Scarlet Sanguine. In draw phase, we'll activate Scarlet Sanguine and whew, okay, we have access to the big golden boy. They're going to go to battle phase. I'll lose the Masquerena, no sweat off my nose. They'll normal summon a copy of Dragite, which prompts the effect of Block Dragon in the graveyard. We will Ash Blossom it. They'll activate Signs to bring back Dragite, which unfortunately allows them not only to stack, but also to draw. For turn, we draw a copy of Memories of Hope. Come on! We'll attack over their copy of Masquerena, then trigger the effect of Scarlet Sanguine in main phase 2, and proceed to end phase. We'll pass it back to our opponent, who draws, ooh, that's going to be a problem, on a pickup for a para over the next couple of turns. We're going to use Conquistador's effect at end step and Elixir's to bring back Ash Blossom. I just want material for an OTK. We're going to activate White Destiny for a copy of Haketo, then we're going to link summon a Nightmare Unicorn, activate ELDLICH, the Golden Lord's effect, and we are just shy of lethal. Okay, we're going to have to live through 1 turn, so we'll make Apollousa and then trigger the effect of Conquistador at end step in order to get a copy of Scarlet Sanguine, activating in draw phase. Our opponent is going to lead with a copy of Onomatopoeia. We will Ash Blossom that. They'll activate the hand effect of Analyzer. We'll Apollousa that. They'll normal summon this Analyzer and walk over our Apollousa, activating its effect in main phase 2, and just like we drew it up, we'll activate the infinite impermanence we have set. That will be the end of the game. So we're back with the deck, and it's weird. I don't often get the chance to take a look at a list that will literally never be entirely legal at the same time. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. Let's be honest. This whole Jet Synchron, Crystron, Halcafibrax, Mechaphantobeast Auroradon thing, it's not going to be around for much longer. When it goes, we'll need something to fill the void, and this stuff honestly looks like it might be the next natural step towards ELDLICH's evolution. 2. Numeron isn't competent enough to win without a backup engine. If Klops and S0 were good enough to swipe games on their own, Zoo and Pendulum would be the best decks. We've got to add something, and this does a good enough job. And 3, the archetypes had the same incidental synergy as Invoked and ELDLICH. Pop the field spell after it's been used, etc., etc. I hope that's enough plausible deniability to get the comment section off of my back. And the cons. 1. Memories of Hope sucks. It is so good in exactly one scenario, and even then, it requires everything to go right. Crocosaur, it is not. 2. The play is extremely telegraphed, and it's being done within an archetype that naturally resists hand traps. It sucks to turn your opponent's Ash on in the worst possible way. And 3, there is no way ELDLICH is this unhit, and S0 is this legal by the time Numeron comes out. I mean, Konami's dumb, but they're not that dumb, right? All in all, this is a fun shell to prove the limits Numeron is capable of breaking. That said, it will likely remain a relic of Edo Pro pre-release format instead of ever making it to paper. So that's that. As always, thanks to my patrons, Meepmoto27, Tamamo Bay, Alex Perea, Austin Lyles, Candyman, Crispy, Mika Reichman, Sir Tachyon, Tyler Slacks, Tyrese Biggums IV, Andrew Horseman Linderman, Austin Zell, Chad Bortz, Presley Case in the 4th, Moira Brown, Angry Bread, Lucky Number 5, Ahmad Elefandi, Nick Extreme 99, Miuna Arashi, Jason Leonard, Andrew Boyko, Dunkoro, Nix Dolores, Marty Caldwell, Mike Fetza, Blue Boy, Shane Meadow Edits, Pronga, David Daniels, Red Eye, Shadol Fusion, Josh, CJ Alex, Stevie Blunder, Darcy Tevz, Mitchell Cook, Sam Soon, Kurakaze, Corpse Away, Haroof, Janlin Ya, Stojan is Trubbish, Lucas Hansen, Algis Marcin Kavicius, Lavender Lemonade, Zach McKee, Gustavo Secon, Siberian Rabbit, Pro FP2, Gamer Games, Michael Oskvarek, Dan the Man Hoban, Blah, Blake Root, Standards Objective, Jeff Leonard, Emperor Stove, TJ Steakhouse, Dominic Ernst, Pro Yugi Dad, Picnic Blasted, Lawrence, Gel Du Rado, Ernesto Ibarra, Fighting Fang Wong, Donnie Fillerup, Adam Sunquist, Isaac Jackson, Second Lucas Geardas, Adam Trevino, Adrian Bra, Distrin, and others. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing. And if you want to be part of the process, consider following me on Twitch as well. See you next time.